In the meantime, calls are growing in India for people to boycott Chinese goods after nearly 2 weeks of tensions on their disputed border. Anti-China sentiment across India has seen protests in cities like Delhi and Ahmedabad. And there are also reports that shipments from China are being subject to extra checks at ports in Chennai. Tensions have soared after a brawl at the Galwan Valley that killed 20 Indian troops. While both sides have pledged to resolve things peacefully, Indian fighter jets continue to patrol the area. India has also reportedly bolstered its military presence on the ground, with long lines of military trucks and artillery seen. Ishan Garg is in New Delhi and he joins us live for an update on this story. Ishan, top trade leaders say it isn't feasible to boycott Chinese goods. Can the Indian economy even afford to?
Well, there are really two schools of thoughts on this particular issue. One school of thought says that India cannot actually boycott China 100%. India relies way too much on China, particularly when it comes to imports like consumer products and other electronic items. For example, smaller electronic things like microprocessors and chips and things like that. And there's another school of thought which says that, well, India actually needs to look beyond China and find another trade partner. Perhaps the United States of America could fill in, or Australia or New Zealand for that matter. But where both of these schools of thought actually converge, and one thing they do agree upon, is that India needs to ramp up its manufacturing, its in-house production of all its needs, and only then it will be possible for India to become actually self-reliant. As one senior expert put it today, that boycotting Chinese goods without having the manufacturing capacity to build India's own stuff would be like cutting off nose to spite your face. So that's the situation where India currently stands. It does have a lot of reliance on China, but at the same time, India wants to move away from China, and that was the main reason why India moved out of the RCEP deal earlier last year. So India is going to see more imports on Chinese products and is perhaps going to try and figure out other free trade agreements with other South Asian neighbors, and perhaps also Australia and the United States of America.
But Ishan, reports also suggest that the Modi government could make it more difficult for Chinese companies to do business.
Yes, that is correct. The Modi government is trying to raise import duties on at least 300 items being imported from China, and is also trying to put other barriers on Chinese businesses willing to invest in Indian companies through institutional or non-institutional means. And the idea behind it, experts say, is clearly to have some sort of retaliation to the Chinese aggression, as India sees it, on the northern border. But the fact of the matter is, if India puts up import duties on Chinese goods, or in the other case, if it wants to import things from countries like Australia and New Zealand and America, the cost of the products is going to be a bit higher up, and all of that cost is going to be passed down to the consumer. So in the end, it does look like the Indian consumers, when this dust settles, will probably be worse off.
All right, thanks for that update. Ishan Garg speaking to us from New Delhi.